Greetings. I hope you're well. Welcome back to the Spirit Walker channel. What happens when wanderers cash out? What happens when wanderers say, look, this place is really messed up. I've had enough. I'm out of here. What happens then? What causes that to happen? And what can be done about this? So if you are a wanderer, if you are a light worker, and if you're looking at this video, if you have seen similar videos and you're searching for this type of information, chances are that you are a wanderer. Chances are that you are a light worker placed on this planet to increase the vibration of this planet and help out humanity in this transition. So this information is actually very important to you. This information is very important to all wanderers and light workers around the planet. So let's start with this lady. So her name is Jackie Sutton. Jacqueline Sutton. She was British, and she was a war correspondent. So her job was to go to hot spots around the world and announce and divulge what was happening. So her job was to bring all of the suffering back to the surface where humanity would then have to face it. So that's a fantastic job. That's actually a typical job of a wanderer. So it's someone that is not really too concerned with money, someone that is not really too concerned with climbing the corporate ladder. These things don't really mean much to wanderers. Wanderers are more likely to be concerned with how do I improve society in some way, even if it is a small way. And Jacqueline Sutton was one of these people. So she, as I said, she was British, and she went all over the world, all sorts of trouble spots. So she was raised in Hertfordshire, in Essex, and from a middle-class family. And after she became a journalist, she decided to work as a war correspondent. So she had been to hot spots like Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, the Gaza Strip, Somalia, Ethiopia. So the list is staggering. So wherever there was trouble on this planet, she was there, she was covering, she was making sure that the suffering of people involved in war surfaced and was relayed back to the rest of humanity for the 8 o'clock news, just so no one could say, well, look, I didn't know about that. So she was doing this kind of job, and she was a very brave lady, and she even took the United Nations on. So at some stage she became a whistleblower for the United Nations. She started denouncing corruption at the level of the United Nations. So there you see her with the helmet that she used to wear when she was reporting. She put herself in many dangerous situations. She was attacked. She was in buildings that were shelled. Excuse me. And all of that type of stuff. So she was, and then later in life, she became really stressed out, of course, as anyone would be. You would clearly get post-traumatic stress disorder with a job like that. and she decided to move to Australia. So she went to Australia. She got a position at an Australian university in Canberra, in the capital, Canberra, and she started lecturing. She indeed started a PhD, and she also had a project of to take social media to these hot spots. So there she is as a lecturer at the Australian National University in Canberra. She started developing this project to improve or increase the use of media, social media in trouble spots, because as you know, social media can have a extremely important impact in informing people about the real situation down on the ground. It's a fantastic way to bypass the conventional media, the Rothschild clan-dominated media, and she engaged with this. Now, she actually, at some stage, she decided to go back to Iraq because she wanted to take this project forward, the social media project forward, and she got into a flight. She went to Istanbul as a connection airport. When she was there, she was very tired. She was waiting for her flight, and she just sat down. She got a beverage, sat down for some time, and she fell asleep. So what happens next is quite amazing, because her name was called for the flight that she was expected to take, the connection flight that she was expected to take to Baghdad from Istanbul airport. And so of course she was sleeping, so she didn't hear, so she missed the flight. Then when she woke up a few minutes later, so 15 minutes later or something, she went to the airline desk and she asked what had happened. They had explained it to her, and they said, look, you missed the flight. You're going to have to take another flight, but we're only going to have to, we can only offer you a flight tomorrow. So you're going to have to stay at a hotel. So this was never a problem. She was a very, very experienced traveler. This was never supposed to be a problem. You just go to a hotel, you stay, spend the night there, you sleep, you have a nice bath, etc. Next day you come back and you take the next flight. But what happens is that she became so distraught by that she went into a lavatory. She went into into the women's toilet, and she hung herself. So she killed herself with I don't know, maybe a piece of cloth or a scarf or something. I really don't know the details. So she killed herself. Now, a lot of people say that because she was such a tough woman, she had seen war in many guises, a lot of people conjecture that she must have been killed because she was actually disliked by the Turkish authorities. She was speaking on behalf of the Kurds and on behalf of some minorities. She did have enemies, and a lot of people will tell you that Jackie Sutton was killed and the murder was made to look like a suicide. However, the family and friends of Jackie Sutton, they actually acknowledged that she was acting strange and she was under a lot of pressure, and in my mind she had all of the symptoms of someone that was suffering, all of the circumstances of someone that would then suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's what happens when you are under such amount of stress. Sometimes you snap So I think that and the family also thinks that the possibility of suicide is very real, and so I would consider this as a suicide case. So to me, Jacqueline Sutton just checked out. So she decided to check out. She was a she was most definitely a wanderer. She wanted to help humanity. She was here for the benefit of all and to help us understand what happens in these war-torn countries. She decided that she would take a rest. Then she went to Canberra, to leafy Canberra. If you have been to Canberra, Australia, you would see that it's actually very boring. It's a very boring place, and so it's a fantastic place to rest. But when she was there, she couldn't cope with the stillness, with the quiet, etc. So she decided to get back. So to me, this is all related to post-traumatic stress disorder. So you can't adjust to a situation where you have finally found peace and you're still in that frame of mind where you need to be there in the action. She went there to the action. She was probably very troubled. She was very conflicted, because how can she be going back to war if now she had this fantastic life in Canberra, Australia? She had bought an apartment. She had also bought an apartment in beautiful Spain. So she had the whole thing was going really very well for her. So here she was. There you can see her picture as the internal security camera of the Istanbul airport. And just before she killed herself. And to me, this is exactly the case of a wanderer that has had enough, decided to check out, decided to leave this planet, because this planet is amazingly difficult to come and help and try to help humanity. She just had enough. I'm pretty sure that she snapped. She decided to leave, and that was the end of that. So it's a very sad story, really, but it's something that is unfortunately not very rare. We do have a lot of wanderers that come under attack from the difficulties of this planet. You have to pay the mortgage, you have psychopathic bosses at work, and you have to sustain yourself or support yourself. You can't just stay at home doing light work and helping people, because you have to pay your bills, blah blah, and then you have psychopathic bosses, psychopathic work colleagues, and that's it. So I think that she couldn't take it. I think that she couldn't take it. The second example that we have here is related to the raw material. So it's about the people, the group that gave us the raw material. As you know, the raw material is the name of the law of one. It was given to us by an entity that called itself Ra. So it's a social memory complex that called itself Ra, and it was given to us through a group of people in a research function. It was called L&L research. So these three people that were doing research, and they were channeling material from sources, from multiple sources, and there they are. So you have Carla Ruckert, Don Elkins, and Jean McCarthy, and they would form this support group where they engaged with channeling material. So they created the conditions through meditation and through careful preparation of the location. They did a lot of channeling for this entity. this entity called Ra, and this is Don Elkins. Don was a person that was a little bit troubled, I would say. He was a person that was barely ever happy. He was very concerned. So that's another characteristic of wanderers. Wanderers find it very difficult to adapt to planet Earth through a third density planet Earth. It's very difficult, it's very hard. It's like you're breathing toxic air, because everything on this planet goes against your instincts of love and compassion. And this competition, this lack of respect, this aggression, this idea that you have to sell your soul to the boss in order to put food on the table, etc. So all of these things are anathema to anyone that has been in higher spheres, in higher densities. So Dom was someone that, in my mind at least, very, very clearly showed that he was having a difficulty adapting to this planet, to this really strange planet, very difficult planet. And he did the Law of One, so he was the questioner. Carla Ruckert was the instrument, the channeler, and Jim, through his meditation and visualization, he would help with the purification of the environment and making sure that the nefarious entities that surrounded LNL research would never be able to attack Carla. There you have a picture of Dom helping Carla to settle on bed, where she would channel the Ra material, and this channeling work has given us one of the most amazing sources of information, of metaphysical information, that you can ever expect to read. This was done in Kentucky, in the USA, and was a brilliant amount of brilliant work. It was published later, so it's 5 books. You can Google The Law of One, Ra material, and you'll be able to buy it. It's a fantastic amount of information. But what happened was that during the latter works, I think that it was already in book 3, Carla started being attacked quite significant by the bad guys, by the black magicians that didn't want the Law of One material to be released to humanity. So this was around 1981. So she was attacked. So in the second half of 1981, she started being very heavily attacked, and this concerned Don very, very deeply, because he was saying, look, here we are, we want to do the job, but Carla is taking the brunt of the work. So why can't I take some of the brunt as well of these attacks? So he was very concerned for Carla. Jim was very concerned for Carla as well. But what happened was that the negative entity started attacking pretty much all of them. And if you don't have your head screwed right, or if you have any pending issues, they are going to use these issues and they're going to exacerbate the problems that you might face, so karmic problems or any other type of problem, tendency, distortions, complexes. And this is what the entity started doing with Don as well. So they started through visualization and black magic and all of that type of stuff, because when you open yourself to channel the good guys, you're also opening yourself to channel the bad guys. You're also opening yourself to a connection with the bad guys as well. It's a war. It's the war. It's the war of Armageddon. It's happening right now in the astral and mental spheres of humanity. It's happening right now inside your head, that are you that are watching this video, it's happening right now inside the head of the person next to you, and so on and so forth. It's the war of Armageddon. It's the battle between good and evil. And if you make great progress in light work, as Don, Jim, and Carla have made, you will also make a big, let me say, you create this big opportunity window for negative attacks to reach you, because everything needs to be balanced. And what happened was that the law of one channeling work continued all throughout 2001, 2, and 3. And in 1984, sorry, not 2001, so it's 1981, 1982, and 1983. And in 1984, the attacks, the psychic attacks on Don became exceedingly intense. As a consequence, he started having emotional problems, so he started having depression. He became mentally unstable to some extent, and I'm going to read here an extract from book 5, and this extract was written by Jim McCarthy. So I'm just going to read it for you verbatim, because I'll let Jim tell you what happens. So this is in October 1984 in Kentucky, where they are still trying to do the work of channeling, but Don is under severe psychic attack. And this is what happened. So I open quotes. After 7 months of this mental, emotional, and physical deterioration, that's Don, became unable to sleep or to eat solid foods. By November, he had lost 1/3 of his body weight and was experiencing intense pain. He refused further hospitalization, which we saw as the last hope for his survival. The thought of having him put into the hospital against his will was abhorrent to us, but we decided to do it and to hope for a miracle, knowing of no other possible way to save Don's life at that point. When police came to serve the warrant, a 5.5 hour standoff resulted. Don was convinced his death was imminent, and he did not want to die in a mental hospital. When tear gas was used to bring Don out of the house, he walked out the back door and shot himself once through the brain. He died instantly. Close quote. So this is the extent of the psychic attack. So he was mentally unstable. He was being psychically, emotionally, mentally attacked. His body was deteriorating. He was under intense pain because of the very good work that he had done for humanity. And he was in a complete state of confusion because of the psychic attacks. Of course, if you're have you tried to make a decision while you are in extreme pain and you lost 1/3 of your weight, and you can't sleep at night, and you are you can't even eat solid foods, probably because of things like diarrhea. So his whole physical state was messed up by these psychic attacks. And the other thing as well is that the black magicians were also working to distort the thinking of the police, because who on earth would have a standoff? So you serve a warrant to someone because that person needs to be taken to a hospital, even if it is against his will. You serve a warrant, and then the person who is, of course, disturbed, tormented, doesn't want to get out, and then you decide to have an armed standoff. Who the hell would decide to do this? Who was this idiot that decided to have a standoff with a man? He didn't have any hostages. He wasn't a threat. There was nothing there. You just get out and come back the next day. That's the humane thing to do. So who was this idiot that decided to have a military style standoff? And then, my good heavens, then they actually throw in tear gas into his house. So the person is already completely disturbed, and you throw in tear gas. And then what he did was he walked out to the backyard and he shot himself. So to me, the person that acted in this way has blood on his hands, because I can't believe that you are so stupid as to treat a mental patient like this. But anyway, these were the 80s. I think that people used to think differently back then. But I'm certain that the black magician that attacked Don was also very instrumental in disturbing the minds of the police that were there supposedly to help ameliorate the situation and fix the situation. But what happened, and we can't change that. So that's the story. So these two wanderers, Jackie and Don, they show us how difficult it is to live on this planet when you have already been through higher realms, and when you have already been through better civilizations. So what can we learn from these things, and what can the Mandela effect teach us, if anything, about how to handle these situations? The first bit of advice that I would have is, first of all, don't carry the weight of the world on your shoulder. You're not responsible for the mess that Earth is in. You're not responsible to save the planet. You're here to give a small contribution. Any small contribution is a fantastic contribution, and you're not responsible. Don't take this as being your responsibility to fix the whole thing, and it's not going to happen. And it's not your fault that the planet is messed up. And help will happen or will take place sometimes even without you thinking. That's the big teaching of the Mandela effect. So we noticed that timelines had split way after the split. So no one was saying, look, tomorrow there's going to be a timeline split and we are going to, and the universe is going to diverge and we're going to take this route. No one said that. It was only many years after the timeline had split that we started noticing little differences in our memories to what was recorded in books, films, and magazines and all of that stuff. So that was a change in the status of humanity that was generated by humanity's conscious focus into a better world, but we didn't realize. So you don't have to be concerned, you don't have to be depressed because things are looking bad. So you just need to hold a positive attitude. And remember that this planet is incredibly difficult. We have reprobates. We have people that were rejected. We have souls that were rejected from Maldek, Tiamat. We have souls that were rejected from Mars because they were too angry, too warlike. We have souls that were rejected from the Capella system as well, also because they were too angry to. So Earth is a rehab colony. Earth is a mental hospital. That's what Earth is. Earth is, at least for the local star cluster, Earth is a nutcase hospital. That's what it is. So this place is meant to be difficult. That's what we are here to help change. And don't be too depressed because you go out there and you see a world that you don't want to live in. It's just how the way things are. The other bit of advice is healing others is their own job. It's not your job. A physician, for example, only heals to the extent that the patient wants to be healed. If you offer help to someone, or if you make yourself available to someone and they don't take that opportunity, it's their problem. Don't feel like you have to insist or you have to or in some way it's your responsibility because that healing didn't take place. It's not. People are the ones that have to heal themselves. We are here to just make the opportunity, make the catalyst for that to happen. Number 3 is, by the same token, the learning of others. It's their own duty, not yours. Don't go around thinking that you're now that you know a little bit of the law of one, and now that you know about the Illuminati and everything, don't go around saying, oh, now I have to tell everybody. No, you don't. You don't have any obligation. People are the ones that have to get off their butts and do the research. So they are the ones that have to come to you and say, hang on, what do you know about this? And then you tell them. You don't put this obligation on your shoulders to awaken the world. People need to awaken themselves. And you, when that happens, if that happens, you have to be there to help them and to guide them to the right information. Number 4 is don't do magical work unless you have a very, very, very strong and reliable support group. Don't try to do magical work like channeling this or channeling that, or sending good vibes to here, or sending good vibes to that without a support group and without having read and having studied a lot about that. So watching videos, studying, talking to people who have done that before, looking for a support group. Try to get as much assistance as possible. Number 5 is, of course, meditate and pray. Just meditation and prayer link you to your higher self, to your support group, your or spiritual support group, your spiritual family. And the stronger you make this connection, the calmer you'll be and the more in control you will be. So meditate and pray and mindfulness. What Jesus Christ used to say, watch and pray, watch and pray, watch and pray. Remember, for example, that again, using the example of the Mandela effect, the Mandela effect was caused by a shift in human consciousness. So it's an awakening of human consciousness. This awakening has had a lot to do with prayer and has had a lot to do with meditation and also other factors such as the energies that we are receiving now and things like that. But it's all about consciousness. It's all about how much do you exercise your power to be alert and aware and in connection with your higher support group, your spiritual support group. The next one is contact with nature and take care of your health. So go to the beach, go to the forest, it may sound like a joke, but it isn't. Go, hug a tree, walk barefoot. All of these things give you so much energy that you would not believe if you could actually see it. So, and take care of yourself. Do exercise regularly. Eat well, and all of these things. So if you want to be a light worker living on burgers, you're not going to be a light worker for much longer. So just take care of yourself and contact nature. Number 7 is space things out and conserve energy. So don't try to do everything at once. So just because you found an amazing book or a great video, don't try to go out and tell everybody around it. You're just going to burn out. Be patient. Instruct yourself. Save yourself first. It's like that anecdote, or when you're in a plane and the safety instructions. If you're taking care of someone like a child, the instructions are put the oxygen mask on you first. Then, when you are alert because of the oxygen, when you are okay and when you are alert, then try to help others. It's the same thing. So space things out. Don't try to convey a whole bunch of information to people who may even not be ready for it. Instruct yourself first. Understand what's happening first, and then you try to help others. The next one is don't take things too seriously. Don't take things too seriously. The other day I put a post on Facebook, and I think I put this on one of the videos as well, that I was just wondering if the Mexican Luciferian cabal would call themselves the Illuminachos. And one Mexican girl read the post, and she was a bit angry, and then she started saying, "Look, I'm just wasting my time in this group, blah blah blah, etc." And look, we need to laugh about these things. Don't take things too seriously. Laugh about it. Remember that you are not the one you're not the one responsible for taking down the Luciferian cabal. There are very big boys and girls in the spiritual world doing this job. There are very, 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 very big people, big spirits, and consciences doing this work. You are here. You're on in the coal face. You're in the front line. Your work is to vibrate love and compassion and do the little things. And these little things are going to have an enormous impact. But taking out the cabal, taking out the negative reptilians, this is not your job. There are very, very big boys and girls doing this job for us. And finally, the final advice is get a hobby. Get a hobby. Do something that you feel passionate about. It could be, dancing. It could be painting. It could be playing the guitar, playing music, or in my case, I really like cars and motorcycles. I play a little bit of guitar. I actually think that I have too many hobbies. And this is not just a way to get out of work. This is not to kill time. It's also to keep your sanity. Get a job, get a hobby, and develop this passion for this, because this is something that is going to keep you centered, keep you focused, and there are plenty of amazing things that you can do on this planet. Have you ever gone for a walk in a beautiful forest? It's magical. It's magical. It's just unbelievably beautiful. So get a hobby. Don't get too concerned with the state of the planet. The battle has already been won. we have amazingly powerful allies, and keep things simple. Don't take things too seriously. Seek a support group, even if it is just a support group, but the people that watch videos on the Mandela effect, for example, to give you that certainty that you're not crazy. There's a lot of people going through this exactly the same thing that you are. So that's it. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Hope to see you again next time. So take very good care of yourselves. Bye for now.